So let's talk about this guy, Frank West. He's covered wars, but when he took a helicopter to Willamette, Colorado, he wasn't just chasing some other story. He was hunting for the story. What he found, though, wasn't just a scoop. It was a story about himself. A relentless journalist walking that fine line between being a hero and, let's be honest, a vulture. This is a story of how a zombie outbreak in a shopping mall revealed the deep moral ambiguity of a man armed with little more than a camera and a ton of ambition. When Dead Rising dropped back in 2006, it gave us a main character who was miles away from the polished action heroes we were used to. Frank wasn't a soldier or some kind of super cop. He was designed to be a pretty average, humble freelance photojournalist whose career was on the decline. He decides to fly into a military quarantine, not out of some noble calling, but because he was chasing a scoop. And that one little detail is the key to his entire character. Let's be real. Frank West isn't there on a rescue mission. He's there for the byline, the fame, and yeah, the money. And in that single-minded chase, the game paints this fascinating and deeply uncomfortable picture of the man behind the camera. We all have that Hollywood picture of the perfect journalist, don't we? This tireless truth seeker who holds power accountable, driven by nothing but pure, unshakable integrity. Frank West, on the other hand, is driven by Frank West. He's a freelancer, which means he sells his photos to whoever pays the most. Fact that immediately puts a price tag on every single thing he does in that mall. His goal isn't saving humanity. It's getting a story that'll put him back on the map. It sort of makes his early moments of bravery feel less like heroism and more like a high-stakes bet. The horror unfolding all around him is his golden ticket. Now, the game doesn't try to frame him as some mustache-twirling villain. He's described as a decent guy, but all his instincts are wired to chase the thrill. This creates this constant tension you feel the whole time. Is he a good guy doing a morally shady job, or is he just a selfish guy who happens to do some good things along the way? From the moment he sets foot in the mall, his first thought isn't, how do I help? It's, how do I document this? This mindset forces you, the player, into all sorts of morally messy situations. Every photo of a survivor in peril, every snapshot of a zombie feasting on the victim, it all adds to his scoop. The game even makes photography a core mechanic, giving you prestige points for taking pictures of horror, drama, and even eroticism. You are actively encouraged to view human suffering through the detached, opportunistic frame of a camera. The game is asking you, right from the start, to see the world just like Frank does, as a series of potential photos, each one worth points. In most games, you interact with the world by pointing a gun at it. In Dead Rising, your main tool is a camera. And let me tell you, that camera does a lot more than just take pictures. It's a psychological shield. The second you raise that viewfinder to your eye, all the chaos gets framed and contained. The screams gets a little more distant. Suddenly, you're not really a participant in the horror anymore, just an observer. And this is where that line between heroic journalist and opportunistic vulture gets completely blurred. The game is packed with moments where Frank's first instinct is to shoot with his camera and not use his weapon at first. He snaps pictures of people as they're being torn apart, as they're crying in pure terror, as they die these awful deaths. In these moments, he is actively exploiting their trauma for his own professional gain. The story he's building is paved brick by brick with the absolute worst moments of these people's lives. Frank isn't always just watching from the sidelines either. His obsessive hunt for the perfect shot can make bad situations even worse and put people in more danger. He's not just documenting the story, he's an active player whose personal goals are often totally at odds with everyone else's survival. There's a chilling parallel here to the real-world debates in crisis journalism. At what point does documenting a tragedy turn into profiting from it? When should a reporter put the camera down and just lend a hand. Dead Rising never gives you a straight answer. It just lets you sit with the discomfort of your own choices. Are you saving those survivors because it's the right thing to do, or because it earns you more points and a better ending? Frank's whole style is defined by his willingness to go where nobody else will. You could call it brave, but the game is constantly making you wonder if it's actually just profound recklessness, fueled by his ego. Two moments really drive this home for me. The first is his relationship with Brad, a DHS agent who becomes a kind of reluctant partner. There are some incredibly tense moments while Brad is literally fighting for his life or trying to defuse a bomb. You can and are often encouraged to just hang back and take pictures of him. Frank's focus stays locked on getting the shot, even when his ally is seconds away from death. It's a subtle but really powerful indicator of just how detached he can really be. The second and maybe more damning example is when Frank and a survivor named Jennifer stumble upon the True Eye Code. Instead of backing away to keep her safe, he decides he has to get a photo of their creepy ritual. His need for their shocking picture gets Jennifer captured. He literally risks someone else's life for a photograph. Sure, he ends up rescuing her, but the incident lays his priorities bare. The story comes first, even if it means putting people who trust him in serious danger. This is the central conflict of his character. The same relentless drive that allows him to expose the entire conspiracy is the exact same quality that makes him a huge liability. He's both the investigator and a catalyst for even more chaos. Just when you're ready to write Frank West off as a completely self-serving jerk, the game throws a powerful counter-argument at you. Without him, the truth would have been buried forever. His morally gray methods are precisely why he succeeds where a more cautious or heroic person would have failed. He gets to interviews with the psychopaths, he uncovers Carlito's tragic backstory, and he exposes the government cover-up because he's willing to take risks that no sane person ever would. In his final confrontation with the terrorist Carlito, as the man lies dying, Frank doesn't just gloat. He makes him a promise. He acknowledged the horror of what the government did to Carlito's hometown and then vows, as a journalist, to get the real story out there. In that one moment, his personal ambition finally syncs up with a greater purpose. The hunt for fame becomes a hunt for justice. He evolves from a guy chasing a paycheck into a man burdened with revealing a monstrous crime. And that's the brilliance of his arc. His time in the mall forces him to confront the real-world cost of his ambition. He actually forms bonds with people like Brad, Jesse, and Isabella, and what happens to them generally gets to him. He starts as an outsider looking in, but by the end, he is the story. The truth he uncovers is no longer just a scoop, it's a responsibility, a truth that people died for. So, do the ends justify his means? Does exposing the conspiracy wash away the ethical stain of snapping photos of dying people for points? The game doesn't say. It just shows you the outcome. The world knows the truth because Frank West was willing to do what was necessary and maybe what was wrong to get it. So, who is Frank West? Is he the hero journalist who exposed a national conspiracy, or the vulture who built a career on a pile of corpses? The answer is, he's both. He's the walking, talking definition of moral compromise. He's also a flawed, selfish, and sometimes reckless man who also has the guts and tenacity to drag an awful truth into the light. He isn't a hero in the classic sense. He's an anti-hero for our modern media age. A man whose greatest strengths are totally inseparable from his deepest flaws. In the end, Dead Rising uses Frank to hold up a mirror, not just to the ethics of the journalism, but to us, the players. It asks us what really matters when society breaks down: our ambition, or our empathy, our own survival, or our humanity. Frank's West trip to the Willamette Mall isn't just a story about fighting zombies. It's a story about the fight inside himself. The messy, murky battle between getting the story and doing the right thing. He got the scoop of a lifetime, but in the process, he revealed a complicated and a deeply human truth about himself. So, what are your thoughts about Frank West? Is he a hero, vulture, or something else entirely? Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive on this character, please like and subscribe for more videos just like this. I make a lot of deep dives on a lot of characters and I do a lot of research. So bear with me, everybody. I know I'd be taking long to post a video, but I'm actually planning for the future of this channel. So if y'all here with me, and y'all already know what to do. Y'all stick with me, man. I'll be posting more gameplays or more parts on Dead Rising 2 later on, and then I'm also playing The Walking Dead Season 2, so y'all stay tuned on that. But I've been very busy lately, so but yeah, man, I'll see y'all in the next video, and I wish everybody a great day, and yeah, I'll see y'all, man. Peace.
Me personally, I'm picking up a weapon and I'm gone. But this person is just waving like an NPC, like a Sims character, bro. No, not here.